The cost of living in Canada has skyrocketed massively. Unemployment rates and inflation have been wrecking the economy with no end in sight. People are losing their homes and savings just to be able to put food on the table. So today, we'll be looking at the extreme affordability crisis that Canada is facing. Let's start with unemployment. In October, the Canadian job market faced a shortage of jobs. As a result, the unemployment rate went up. The recent increase in interest rates is affecting economic activity. This reflects the impact. The unemployment rate went from 5.5% to 5.7%, reaching its highest level since January 2022. More people are coming to work, but not enough jobs are being created, which means that unemployment is going up. So, what's the job market looking like for people in Canada? In October, Alberta added 37,700 positions in different regions and industries. On the flip side, Quebec and Ontario face severe declines, losing 22,100 and 14,300 jobs, respectively. Saskatchewan now has the lowest unemployment rate in the country at 4.4%. This is due to Quebec's weaker performance. The construction industry had a big increase of 23,000 jobs, making it the top job creator. Manufacturing lost 18,800 jobs, and wholesale and retail trade lost 21,700 positions. After reaching a historic low of 4.9% last year, the unemployment rate has been on the rise. In October, StatScan said 1.2 million people were jobless, up 171,000 from April. In October, the agency noticed that 60% of unemployed people stayed that way from September. This is much more than the previous year. In October, 33% of Canadians aged 15 and above struggled to meet essential expenses at home. This percentage was significantly higher than 3 years ago when it stood at 20.4%. But won't things turn around in 2024? Bad news, because due to the slow economy and lower job demand, job growth will stay behind population growth in 2024. The unemployment rate could actually go up more, reaching a peak between 6% and 6.5%. The expected rise could help with inflation and lead to interest rate cuts in 2024. Another problem is the inflation crisis. Inflation reflects how $10 today doesn't have the same purchasing power it once did. It's measured using the Consumer Price Index that includes many goods and services, and the weighting is based on Canadian spending. There are two types of inflation. One is called demand pull inflation. This happens when people want to buy more things than the economy can make. In simpler terms, it's like having too many dollars trying to buy too many goods. The Bank of Canada is worried about too much demand and raised interest rates to slow down price growth. But there's another type of inflation called cost-push inflation. This happens when the cost of producing goods like wages and materials go up. As a result, companies may choose to raise prices or reduce production. Examining the current inflationary period, various factors come into play. In October, the main factor for the yearly inflation was the high cost of gasoline. This increase happened mostly due to Russia's invasion of Ukraine, but prices were already going up before that. The market for cars, both new and used, is also affected by a shortage of computer chips. As a result, people have limited options and there are fewer cars available. Housing has a big impact on inflation. Different parts of the shelter price index, like mortgage interest and rent, contribute to the high inflation. There are additional factors at play. Canadians saved a lot during the pandemic, so now they are spending more on things like travel. Household income went up a lot, which made people wonder if they were spending too much with help from the government. But what does this response to the pandemic mean for Canadians? COVID brought a lot of demand in overseas markets. Additionally, the drop in the Canadian dollar's value has caused imported inflation. This means that buying goods in US dollars is now much more expensive for Canadians. How does this affect the cost of living? Household bills and food costs are going up, causing stress and making living expenses harder. The middle class is earning less money because of economic pressure, while the wealthy are profiting. Canada's high interest rates are exposing the shaky ground in the economy tied to rising house prices. The high cost of living is hurting Canadians' quality of life, and people are tired of the current political leaders. When we talk groceries, they're still taking a hit with some hefty price hikes. The latest report from Statistics Canada spills the beans. There was an 8.5% increase in July compared to the previous year. Now, that's a bit lower than the 9.1% jump from June, but still, it's no small change. Prices are so bad that people are actually cutting back on the amount of food they're buying. According to a recent report from Statistics Canada, household food volumes have been decreasing. This decline has been happening for 6 out of the past 8 quarters, starting in early 2023. Food banks across Canada are also feeling the heat, reporting record levels of demand. Fresh fruit prices are in the spotlight too, with a 4.1% increase in July compared to the previous year. It's less of a jump compared to the 10.4% surge in June, and they credit this to a 40% price drop in grapes. So how does this price hike on fruits affect the housing market? The average home price in Canada was $668,754. This is an increase of 6.3% compared to the previous year. This surge is causing a stir among Canadians and newcomers, making home ownership seem like a far-off dream. To make matters worse, there's a shortage of affordable housing, adding fuel to the fire of rising prices. Cost of living has jumped drastically. Many Canadians are now choosing to share accommodations due to the high cost of owning a home. The fastest growing type of household is when 2 or more people live together without forming a census family, like roommates. The numbers show a remarkable 54% increase in respondents living in these arrangements between 2001 and 2021. Many people rent, but some are now buying homes together with friends. It's a practical approach gaining traction in the housing landscape. So what's being done to ease the current cost of living crisis? To control inflation, the Bank of Canada raised interest rates. Starting from a modest 0.25% in 2022, they bumped up the benchmark interest rate to a solid 5% by July 12, 2023. In October, they decided to keep things steady at 5%. However, there's a twist. While doing so, they lowered their economic growth forecast and warned about increased risks of inflation. Everyone, including households and politicians, hopes inflation will ease by the end of 2023. In the Bank of Canada's report from July 2023, they predict that inflation will stay at around 3% until mid-2024. After that, it will go down to the target of 2% by mid-2025. The central bank predicted a shorter timeline for restoring price stability, but it is longer. It lasts about 6 months. But hey, we've got inflation calculated. This should mean we can tackle it, right? But no. Predicting inflation is a bit like navigating through a maze. Back in 2021, central bankers worldwide were a tad slow to grasp the enduring nature of inflation as it gained momentum. Besides, things like bad weather or crises can affect prices in ways we can't predict. The Bank of Canada is unsure about the future trajectory of inflation. It might not reach the desired 2% rate ever again. What should people do with all these challenges? There are no easy answers, but let's talk about what the average Canadian can do in the face of these rising costs. The good news? You don't need a finance degree or a financial advisor on speed dial to navigate the challenges of inflation. In fact, financial advisors say the same smart money saving tips for good times. Keep track of spending, pay off debt, and avoid risky investments. If you haven't started using these tactics yet, now is a good time to include them in your financial plan. Budgeting is the golden rule according to personal finance advisors everywhere. However, sticking to a strict budget is tougher than ever right now. You can delay buying a luxury car, but prices for groceries and gas have increased a lot. While you can't exactly skimp on food, going to the grocery store equipped with a list and your trusty calculator app can be a game changer. You can save money by comparing unit prices at grocery stores like Food Basics or Metro. Saving and budgeting can only go so far. What about Canadians who have loans? On average, Canadians owe $1.73 in consumer credit and mortgage liabilities for every dollar they earn. The Bank of Canada's current overnight rate is 2.5%, which is 10 times higher than in 2021. This is causing high interest rates on loans due to the high debt-to-income ratio. This makes paying off those debts even more of a financial challenge. If you find yourself juggling your debts, it is wise to tackle the one with the highest interest rate first. It's important to pay off a payday loan first. These loans have super high interest rates, up to 500%. Compared to that, credit cards with a rate of 19.99% are a better option. If cutting expenses and getting a second job isn't enough, try asking your bank for a balance transfer offer. It could help you manage your debt better. Still trying to navigate the grocery bill struggle? We've got your back. While the big players like Metro, Loblaws, and Walmart still have those trusty flyers, you don't have to wrestle with paper copies every week. You can use apps like Flip to find deals at different stores without leaving your home. Don't forget coupon apps. They help you save on groceries and get deals on soon-to-expire items that are still good to eat. Apps like Checkout 51 even pull double duty, serving as both coupon hubs and grocery lists. Scan your receipts post-purchase to redeem those cashback deals. Now, if you're gearing up for travel or just trying to navigate your daily commute, there are nifty apps for that too. Skyscanner and TripAdvisor are your go-tos for scoring sweet deals on airfare and accommodations. If you're staying nearby, you can use Transit to compare commuting choices. Also, GasBuddy can help you find the best fuel prices and public transit deals. With talk of a recession, it's natural to panic and worry about your finances during inflation. But here's the thing, good old-fashioned financial wisdom still holds its ground. If inflation improves, try using this financial advice to stay on track. Because hey, a little proactive planning never hurt anyone. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again soon. Make sure to watch the next video.